It's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
You're doing it, bro.
Good afternoon to a lunchtime edition of the Arsenal Lounge. Yes, that's right. My boy Shaheen calls me up about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Says, "Oi, Lev, do you want to do a show? Do you want to do a midweek show? We talk about the preview for Europa. We talk about what's going on in the news and obviously the pending Liverpool game and all that sort of thing." And I went, you know what, Shaheen? Yeah, man, why not? So here we are. And joining me, as I just mentioned, is my boy Shaheen with his tactical board intact still. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You good? Everything good?
Man. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, just taking
It's
some
been a
time
while
out
since
from
we've done
work.
one of these, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I thought, you know what? I got lunch anyway. I thought, you know what? An hour just chatting to my boy, but he wasn't available. So I thought I'd speak to you instead, didn't it?
As you do.
Don't get jealous, bruv. You know I still love you.
No, so I'll live.
But big up Dave Jordan. He's already here. And he's saying, oi, this is becoming your catchphrase, by the way. I'm telling you now, relax your batty. Yeah? You guys in the chat, if you're watching, if you're a lounger, that's your catchphrase. If you want a t-shirt in a contest, you want to win a t-shirt with relax your batty with Shaheen on there, let us know. But yeah, anyway, so it seems like I'm running this thing, even though you've called it. But look, firstly, should we discuss this game tomorrow that's coming up? Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
How it's going to affect us moving forward, etc. So look,
Lev, I think on the face of it, it's a 3 points. Like it's a given. I think more or less.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
I'd say relax your batty, brother. It's like you're jumping the gun here a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
Do you know how many comments in that last show had relax your batty in it? That was it. That's all people said. And some people put relax your batty and then put their address underneath, which seemed a little bit weird because you asked people where they to put down where they were watching from.
Yeah, where they're watching from.
Yeah. But anyway, look, I hear what you're saying. It's 3 points. We're playing Bodo Glimt, which sounds like a character from Lord of the Rings, one of those little midgets.
Yeah.
Bodo Glimt. Watch out, Bodo Glimt's coming. But to be fair, Norwegian league, they're second in the table at the moment. I've checked them out. They've lost 5 games, but they're second in the table. Is that league comparable to the Premier League? No, it isn't. Liverpool played last night against Rangers. I'm just laying down the foundations for the later.
Yeah.
But Liverpool played Rangers yesterday with a different formation. We'll touch on that in a minute. Now they're going to have a 2-day rest advantage over us. However, at the same time, I doubt highly that we're going to be playing a full a first 11 against Bodo Glimt. Is it important we get the result? Yes, it is. Do I think we will get the result? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to affect us moving forward to the game on Sunday against Liverpool? I don't think so, unless he risks a couple of first teamers that get injured. But yeah, I mean, look, we got Bodo Glimt coming up tomorrow at the Emirates. What type of team were you expecting to see? And what type of team are you expected to see? And I'm asking the people in the chats as well. What sort of side do you expected to see tomorrow, Shaheen?
Listen, as I said to you, I think this is a given that this is the 3 points, and I think he will heavily rotate by 1 or 2. That will keep. I mean, for me, I would change the whole team because we've got. It's not something that I would normally recommend doing, but we've got a tough run of fixtures coming. I've just got it on my screen. So we're playing these guys at home on Thursday. We're playing Liverpool at home on Sunday. And then we've got these guys again away. So we're going to have to go down to Norway and back. We're playing Leeds away. So this game, to me, is if I was to choose one, it would be this one where I would rest a lot of players. Some players are given that they'll be rested. I think Partey 100% will be rested. Zinchenko, I think, will be rested. I think Jesus will be rested. I'd like to see Saka rested, Martinelli, because Martinelli and Jesus' game is very much high intensity. So they need that sort of rest, otherwise they will get injured. So I expect a second string Arsenal team, to be honest with you, and even that should win comfortably.
I mean, So, I mean, you mentioned sort of Partey being rested, Saka being rested, Jesus being rested, etc. I mean, let's not get it twisted. We do need to do well in this tournament in Europa, but at the same time, we need to balance it out at the moment. And the one thing we've always been concerned about with this Arsenal side is strength and depth. All we need is a couple of injuries. It's a shame that El Nenny's injured, because I could see him starting this game if he wasn't injured. Smith Rowe, it would have been great for Smith Rowe. Thank you, Dave Jordan, as well, for mentioning these names. I think it was Dave. Smith Rowe would have been great to use in this game as well. So it's a shame we can't use those guys. But do you see us then starting likes of your favourite goalkeeper, Turner? Then maybe Cedric on one side, Tomiyasu on the other. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Cedric's right back usually anyway, but, you know, he has played left back. Or do you think he'll just go Tierney and Tomiyasu? That's still a strong fullback lineup. And then you've got, who do you expect to see in centre back? Do you think he'll go with White maybe centre back?
I think Holding will come in for sure. So that's one of them covered.
Tomiyasu can play centre back.
No, I think he will play him at right back.
Yeah.
And I think Tierney will be left back. Turner will be in goal. These three are more or less, I know for a fact. I think Holding will come in one of the spots. So the other one, I don't know. It depends on the conditions of the players. It's something that we don't know. You know, it's something.
What we're talking about midfield.
Huh? No, I'm talking about the centre backs.
Well, Shiv is suggesting Gabriel and Holding. Would you risk Gabriel in this game?
Well, look, if he wanted to change the whole thing, he would put Holding and Tomiyasu as centre back, and he would play Cedric right back, Tierney left back. If he wanted to change everything, but I don't think he will do that. I think he'll probably keep Gabriel, or maybe Saliba. I don't know. It depends on which one is in a better.
I would not risk Saliba or Gabriel in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, there is no other centre back. You know, the next option will be to bring Tomiyasu in, and he may not want to do that just in case it doesn't work out. And a lot of people will be on his case. Oh, what was this, that, the other?
So do you think we should be seeing Tomiyasu and Holding in the middle, centre backs, and then we could Cedric and Tierney? That could be a very, very like realistic lineup.
Yeah, I don't really see him doing this. I think he will keep one of the centre backs.
Okay.
I mean, look, you've got Ben White as well. That could, because he took Ben White off, if you remember, towards the end of Liverpool game. So maybe that other centre back is Ben White, and then he will take him off
again. I wouldn't play Ben White, and I'll tell you why. Because he's going to be extremely busy in that fullback position playing against Liverpool. Yeah, there's a lot of energy for that Liverpool.
I hear that, but I'm just thinking out loud that, you know, him taking him off might be something to do with this game. Listen, on paper, this should be a comfortable game for us. This should not be a game that the defense will be under a lot of pressure on paper. But you never know in football, you know, you can never predict things. So,
what about midfield? Who are we going to?
I think Lokonga will come in
with
Xhaka. I think.
You think he'll play Xhaka?
Yeah, I think Lokonga will come in with Xhaka, and I think if I was him, I'll play Reece Nelson on the left, Vieira in the middle, and I forgot that guy's Marquinhos on the right, and then Nketiah on top.
Look, this team should be enough. Even that type of team should be enough to beat Bodo Glimt. I'm not underestimating them like some are suggesting in the chats. However, at the same time, we do have to balance the squad. And this game on the weekend is far more important, in my opinion. I think it might not be the most exciting game. You never know. We might breeze it. I don't know. But I do expect us to win this game. I'm not saying it'll be comfortable, but I don't know. A lot of people, I'll tell you what, a lot of people in the chats are saying Bodo are a hard team to play.
There's only
I
one
didn't realize
person.
we had so many
It's just
knowledgeable
it's
Norwegian
just
league
one person
fans.
saying that, man. That's
No. Deep Singh have said it. Robot,
Yeah,
I
well,
think
he's
Dave
just put it
Jordan
like
has said
that.
it.
Before that, it was just the robot guy. And then, but listen, if you're talking about us competing for the Premier League, we must be winning the Europa League. These games should be a walk in the park for you. As I said, it's difficult to always predict a football game because you might end up looking silly. But on paper, and I emphasize on the word on paper, as I've been saying, this should be a comfortable game for us.
Apparently, Bodo Glimt beat Roma 6-1. Is that true?
You're talking about this one, yeah?
I'm having a look at... Mate, it's true, yeah? Yeah, 21st. This was last year, admittedly. October, around the same time last year. A couple of weeks before. And they spanked Roma 6-1. It was at home.
Them 6-1, well, it means there's some sort of world beater now once.
Well, you know what?
That
I was
means nothing.
I'm not saying that, but I was even looking to see if Roma had someone sent off. Maybe against 10 men, but no, they didn't. So look, they can be a handful. They did beat Roma 6-1. It was at their ground. It probably freezing in October in Norway. So that probably had an influence, but 6-1 against Roma. So maybe
I
we do have to
stand by what I said, man.
All right, okay, fair enough. Well, look, we could do a little prediction thing because at the end of the day, this is impacting the top of the table, which is myself in predictions. I've said it about a million times now. I've started to sound like Carl Froch with the 80,000 at Wembley. But what's your prediction for this game at the Emirates?
3-0 Arsenal.
3-0, yeah? No 6-1 against Roma against us, no?
No, actually, you know what? 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0.
3 years of an ask you.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna say 3-1. And the reason I'm gonna say 1 is Arsenal have this tendency when they mix and match and sort of change their teams around on a Thursday night to let a goal in, just a shock one. 3-1 Arsenal. There you go. I expect us to win. But look, I
don't expect us to concede, yeah.
Yeah, I expect us to rest a lot of players. So going back to the Liverpool game this weekend, which is the one that's more important to me. I've looked at Liverpool's lineup against Rangers. As I said before, they're Jota, Nunes, Salah and Diaz. It's something new that they're messing around with. And looking at the news, Klopp has also hinted there's a new formation that he's utilising. This is a sign of a team that obviously is struggling for form at the moment, and Klopp is messing around and tweaking to see if he can reignite that form. They did beat Rangers yesterday, but I did watch some of the game, and Rangers did have a couple of opportunities. They're going to be a threat going forward, but they're also going to be a little bit susceptible going the other way. Great free kick by Trent Arnold, which is typical. But then we said the same against leading up to the Spurs game. We were worried that Son had just scored a hat-trick and suddenly he's back in form. But look, we handled that. Trent did score a great free kick yesterday. We have no doubts about his technique and capabilities in that area, but where he might struggle is on the wings, and that's where we are really strong. So they also had Thiago and Henderson in midfield, and looking at that with midfield, I reckon our midfield can handle Thiago and Henderson. So this is going to be a crucial game. How do you see it panning out, Shaheen?
I watched Brighton against Liverpool, and that was in Anfield. Yeah, I said this on the show a couple of days ago when we were doing the one with Tom. Had it not been because of Alisson, they could have been 4-0 down within 30 minutes. Point being, Liverpool is not the team that it was last year. A good side that is well out of form. I didn't watch the game yesterday, admittedly, but I don't see them coming to the Emirates now and just boom, suddenly beat the Liverpool that we all know. Because that's not, it's a difficult game, especially if they concede early. which is what I will be looking for us, for us to do, get an early goal. Defensively, they didn't look great against Brighton. Going forward, same, not great. I think losing Mane has been a big thing for them, a big thing, more than maybe what they thought it would be. But no, I'm confident, man. I predicted a 2-2 on the prediction league that we're doing,
and then said, you think they're going to win?
No, I only predicted a 2-2 because I need points. So I had to do something that is different to the rest. But if it wasn't bound to if that was not involved, I would have probably said 2-1 Arsenal. Again, look, I'll put it this way: which one is more in form right now, Tottenham or Liverpool?
Yeah, good point, actually.
And we handled Tottenham properly. So, I mean, well and truly they were handled, they were dealt with. So Liverpool is going to be similar sort of thing. And you also need to, if you turn the tables around and look at it from Liverpool's point of view, they'll also be looking at this as a difficult fixture now. Going to the Emirates, Arsenal, top of the league, fantastic form. All the players are in good form. You got, Xhaka, Partey, Jesus, you got Saliba back. I don't think any of their forward players will be looking forward to coming across William Saliba. Gabriel is good fullbacks, good midfield, good wingers, good forward. So if you look at it from Liverpool's point of view, it's a difficult fixture for them as well. And it's always risky when managers start to tinker with formation, because if Klopp changes formation, comes to the Emirates, and it's not really working within the first 30, 40 minutes, they could be 3-0 down. I'll take you back to the Chelsea game. You remember when Antonio Conte took over in Chelsea and they came to Emirates and he changed his formation. He was playing, I think, 4-4-2. I think in the first half, I think they were 3-0 down. I think Sanchez, Ozil, and Walcott, if I'm not mistaken, they scored. So it can backfire. So, yeah, it's a tricky fixture more for Liverpool than us. And look, we can draw and it's still going to be okay. But Liverpool need to win a lot more than us. I think they're 7th or 8th in the table.
That's a really good point. That's going to obviously influence the way they play. They're definitely going to come out at us to win that game, aren't they? They're going to try and get 3 points. Let me just address a couple of things before we go on. Robots Will Eat You says, did you watch Paul's game yesterday? Gordon kept it. Yeah, I did. Robots Will Eat You. You're right. Gordon had a ridiculous game. It was Núñez against Gordon, and Gordon made some great saves. But you also got to take into account that defense of Rangers is not the Arsenal defense, right? And also what was mentioned here by Dave Jordan is they're low on confidence right now, but they're still an elite side. And he also mentions in a previous one that Liverpool are still a way better side than Tottenham. Maybe on paper, but the league doesn't lie. How you're playing and the points that you've ascertained throughout the course of a season, whether it be 8 games, 9 games, 15 or whatever, it's based on your performances and your form. And obviously, the league doesn't lie. They're 14 or whatever it is, 15 points adrift from us or something like that, or 11. Now, that just says to me, we're the informed team. And I cannot remember a season up until this one where I actually felt confident and could actually say that maybe Arsenal are favourites in this tie. Imagine how many seasons... how many seasons have we gone by that Liverpool were coming to Arsenal and we're like, oh my God, another spanking. Oh my God, we'll be... This is the first time I can remember.
Klopp even. Before Klopp. Because remember, before Klopp, it was Brendan Rodgers. And they were decent under Brendan Rodgers, especially in the latter stage of his time at Liverpool. So you're going back about maybe, 4 years? 5 years? They've been a decent team and they've been coming to Emirates. And it's still a difficult fixture because you never know in football. Liverpool could turn up on Sunday and they could just batter us. That is an unlikely possibility, but it is still.
We must be due to beat. We're due to beat them soon. It's coming. because like they've been beating us for season upon season, and I just feel this is a different side this season, and Liverpool a different side. And for the first time, you could argue that I haven't looked at the betting, the forecasts and all of that, but you could argue for the first time we're probably favourites based on form, based on this. And I know people in here like Robots Will Eat You were saying he'd rather take a draw and move on, but I want us to win this game. Because I think it sends a message out to the entire league. Look, back to back, you've been questioning Arsenal, you're questioning they're celebrating, you're questioning their cards, you're questioning this, that, and the other. And we keep coming through those questions. So the next one was, what decent sides have they played? Now, if we come out of this back-to-back wins against Spurs and Liverpool, I think we will be sending a message throughout the rest of the Premier League. Arsenal are a serious team this season. So I want us to win this game.
Listen, I think that message has been put out to a certain degree because the way we beat Tottenham, we're in control of the game, and you can argue against Man United, we were unlucky. If we beat Liverpool tomorrow and if we beat them well, so we control the game, then you've got to, I don't care who you are, what your views of Arsenal, Arteta are, or whatever. You've got to admit that we are one of the teams to beat if you want to win the league or if you want to be in the top four. Because I think the league is given to City. I think that there is no, unless something drastic happens with City, I think they will win the league. I mean, they cannot win it without Haaland. I mean, the guy is just. We'll come to him a bit later on, but I think that's for the title. That's that. And right now, you could argue that the difference between Arsenal and Man City is Erling Haaland.
Yeah, you could argue that, but then that shows how far we've come, though. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's how good we've been this season, and if we beat Liverpool, then who else is left? I mean, I don't really look at Chelsea as a threat anymore, or how they were. Let's say not Chelsea again. Same as Liverpool. They're not the team they were last season. They're not the team they were the year before. They're going through a bad time as well at the minute. So there is nobody left that I would look at and I'll be thinking, this is a difficult. If they come at home, the only one will be Man City. Man City at home will be like difficult one. Apart from that, we shouldn't really be worried about anyone.
I mean, look, it's a tough one for us because we've now getting to that point where we're going up the table as a team. We're starting to look like a potential challenger, if not now this season, next season onwards. And then City go and buy a cheat code. However, I do think that there's a potential new rivalry coming out of this, and it's going to be City Arsenal moving forward. And it'll be quite ironic. It'll be Pep against Arteta, and I see that happening if we carry on the way we're going. Going back to the Liverpool game, because we've sort of gone away from it a little bit. In regards to City and all of that, and looking a bit too far ahead, as I don't want to get too far ahead of myself right now. The Liverpool game, to me, I don't care whether they're not in form. I don't care, what the pundits say if we beat them, whatever. This is a game that is not just about beating Liverpool. It's about instilling more belief into this team. We haven't beaten Liverpool for a while. If they beat Liverpool after beating Spurs, the belief in this young side is just going to keep growing. And then they'll look at that and say, well, if we could beat Spurs, we can beat Liverpool. Why can't we beat City? And let's not forget, what was it last season? We outplayed City. It was much like the United game. We outplayed City and lost. Do you remember that? That was a 3-1 game as well.
I'll have to disagree with you, Lev, because...
What? You disagree with me, Blad? Yeah. Relax your batty.
Yeah, I am, because, listen, the Erling Haaland element is massive. Massive. The guy is pulling some numbers that are just unreal, man. This guy is
He's got 3 hat tricks already. And the closest person to him was Michael Owen, who did 3 hat tricks in 48 games in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's done it in 8 games. So
that's insane.
I think the fact that they've got him, it makes it difficult, not for us, anybody, to rival them. And I think they're just going to walk it this year. I think for them, this year is the Premier League is more or less, as I said, unless something drastic happens, is City's. I think, but the main focus, I think, will be Champions League. So
that's the one thing that might help us.
Yeah, you might see him rest Haaland at some point because they've got an important Champions League coming up or whatever it is. So that might be an element, but still, I just this guy, man, Erling Haaland.
Who comes in for Haaland if he gets injured?
I don't know. I'm not. Oh, they've got that Spanish dude, Alvarez or something like that.
Have they? Let us know in the chats because I'm not going to profess to know all this.
Or he can play, I don't know, Foden or Grealish or someone like that. He can play the false 9.
They got Alvarez. Yeah, they've got Alvarez. But, there are things that can happen. I don't wish an injury on anybody. And at the end of the day, Haaland is a great watch in the Premier League. But, if they get an injury, Alvarez is not going to come in and do the numbers that Haaland's doing. The one person's put a really good point on in here as well. It's robots will eat you. You're on form today, bro. Well done. No World Cup football for Haaland. So he gets to rest again during the World Cup period.
What? Norway didn't qualify?
I don't know. That's what he's saying. I don't know. No World Cup games. I don't think they did qualify. Are you sure they didn't qualify? Let's have a look. Is Norway in the World Cup 2022? Nope, they failed. They failed, yep. So that's a really good point. If you have a nice long break during... This is the question as well I want to ask you guys in the chat and Sheen. If we're still top of the table, does this break during the World Cup, will it benefit Arsenal or will it hinder them?
What do we have going to World Cup? I think the Brazilian boys will go.
The Brazilian boys. Ben White will go. Saka will go.
Xhaka will go.
Ramsdale will go.
Partey will go.
Yeah.
Has Ghana qualified?
Yeah, I think they have, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Turner will go.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's going to be busting against your boys, isn't it, Iran?
Yeah. What about, I think, Tomiyasu? Japan, I think they qualified. I think Kieran Tierney will get a rest.
I'm just going to look at it now. Hold on. Just to confirm it all.
Scotland haven't qualified, have they?
Do you know what? Smith Rowe could have been going, but he's injured. Yeah, Saka, Ben White, Aaron Ramsdale. You never know with Smith Rowe if he comes back in time. Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, and Gabriel Magalhaes. Portugal, Cedric and Vieira, Matt Turner and Trusty, William Saliba for France, Xhaka for Switzerland, Partey, Lokonga goes to Belgium. Yep, you're right about Tomiyasu. Yeah. Officially, Hector Bellerin.
Hector Bellerin is not our player anymore.
Well, yeah, that's what it's saying on here. I don't know how old this article is. Omar do you know Omar Rekik, who's he's in our under 23s, isn't he? He's going with Tunisia. He's going to be interesting to see him, actually. I've heard really good things about him. So
we've got majority of our players going.
Well, a lot of the guys here in the chats feel like this World Cup break, if we're still top of the table in particular, may aid us because we're a little bit thin on the ground in depth. But then at the same time, you could say that, but then a lot of these players will get stretched playing in the World Cups. And particularly a concern for the likes of Thomas Partey, for example, who you can easily see getting injured in Ghana for Ghana and that sort of thing.
Hold on. So we don't have anyone for Ecuador, Netherlands, Qatar, and Senegal, so we are right there. Group B, England, Iran, USA, Wales. Yeah. So we've got England, and USA. I think England will qualify from the group along with Iran. Group C, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, Saudi. Again, we don't really have any players there. Group D, Australia, Denmark, France, Tunisia. So France.
We've only got Saliba for France, I think.
Do we have any Danish players? No. We don't.
Look, at the end of the day, someone
hold on. So France could progress. I think France probably one of the candidates to win it, if I'm honest. Then you got Costa Rica, Germany, Japan, and Spain. Tomiyasu could potentially come home early here because you've got Germany and Spain, which I think they will qualify.
Ghana might come home early. Who they got?
I haven't got to the group yet. I'm just going group by group. So in here, you got Tomiyasu that could come in early. We don't have any Spanish ones, do we?
No, we don't at the moment.
And we don't have any Germans. And we don't have any Germans, no?
No, not at the moment, I don't think, no.
Right, Group F, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Morocco. Again, we don't really have anybody there. Belgium could progress, but Lokonga, I don't really see him as like a key member of the squad. You got Group G, Brazil, Cameroon, Serbia, Switzerland. So we've got Brazil and Switzerland. Switzerland got Xhaka, and Brazil got the Brazilian boys.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Cameroon and Serbia. So I think Brazil would go through, and I think it will probably be between Serbia and Switzerland for the second.
Okay. Well, you never know. There could be a surprise there. There could be a surprise
Cameroon as well.
Yeah.
Group H, got Ghana, Portugal,
and Uruguay.
Korea, and Uruguay.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. I mean, Portugal, you got Vieira and what's his name, Cedric.
Yeah.
Ghana, Thomas Partey. So I think this is a difficult group, man. This is
I don't mean to be bad, and sorry, Thomas, if you're watching. I'm sure you are. But I'd want Ghana to go out of that group as quick as possible. I don't want Thomas Partey overplayed, to be honest with you. And this is me being really selfish. The Brazil one, we've got Martinelli and as you said, Gabriel at the back. Martinelli might not play every game. Oh, and Jesus as well. Jesus is going to be an interesting. I don't think all of these players are going to play every game anyway, because because of the number of games you have in a short space of time, they tend to rotate the squads. The only one, France, Saliba, I could see Saliba slowly growing.
The thing is, like, normally with World Cup is your season finishes, and then there's a gap between the time that the season finished to the start of World Cup. That's where players tend to relax a little bit, refresh, train, and go. But I don't really see that this year. It's more or less back to back.
I'll tell you what I would prefer. I would prefer us to get these bloody contracts to Saliba done before the World Cup starts. Because if he has a really good World Cup, everyone's gonna be after him. Everyone. And with only a year and a half, 2 years left on his contract, that's a concern. I'm sure we're going to touch on that in a minute. But look, so the general consensus is, looking at the chats, is a lot of people saying they feel it could be a benefit to us this World Cup. The other interesting thing I'll throw in there. Hugh, I think Saliba will start to play. I think he'll grow into the World Cup. The longer France stay in it, the more Saliba will play, I reckon. But that's my opinion. I did say that he was going to come straight into the Arsenal side, and that happened. The interesting one is this. Usually the World Cup's in the summer. You see a player doing amazingly well, right? And then everyone's talk about him during the summer. Oh, yeah, we want to go and buy this player, whatever. But this is in the winter, just before the January transfer window. If a player really has a good tournament, that's going to add a lot of value to the January window. People's prices are going to go high in the January window. I mean, it was high anyway. But if someone has a good tournament and you want to go and buy him now, you might be playing over the odds for him. But we need to buy people in January. And I've been looking into it, and Danilo is apparently on the radar, according to Fabrizio Romano. So, I don't know. It's going to be a really weird year this year.
When have we done really well?
In January?
Yeah.
What's the best January signing we've ever made? Was it Ozil?
Arshavin was decent as well.
Apparently, Danilo is someone we could get, and also obviously Tielemans and Luis from Villa is going to be on the last 6 months of his contract. So we're gonna do some business in the January window, surely. I can't. So should we talk about contracts and stuff?
Who's a good shout?
Uber in Jan. Why is that a good shout?
No, you said who's our best January signing?
Yeah, good point actually. Duh. Yeah, he was probably, yeah, you could argue he was one of our best January window signings. Him and Ozil. They're two not bad signings, are they? Ozil and Aubameyang in January.
But no, I reckon there's one more that will top all off.
Go on.
Kim Kallstrom.
Relax your batty, blood.
Top signing. Top.
He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Hugh saying Ozil was in the summer. Was he in the summer? Let's check.
Yeah, he was in the summer actually.
So then it's Aubameyang then. Really, isn't it?
Aubameyang.
Let's have a look. Signing.
Dave Jordan, behave yourself.
Here we go.
Mate.
We had Arshavin.
Yeah, I did say Arshavin, didn't I?
I'm a bit gutted about Arshavin because I think he could have been so much better than we just didn't use him right. Oh my days! How could we forget this? Sol Campbell was a January signing, mate.
Was it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't even think the transfer win. No. I'm sure Sol Campbell was.
No, we got it. Desperate for defensive cover in January 2010, Arsene Wenger took the extraordinary step of re-signings. Oh no, that's the re-signing. So that's a re-signing. Yeah. Okay. Kieran Gibbs, who got injured? No, it was Monreal. Monreal was a January signing.
Was he?
Adebayor was a January signing. And apparently Theo Walcott was a January signing.
Was he?
Yeah.
I stand by what I said, man. Kim Kallstrom.
Oh, sharp.
Top signing.
Do you know what? Someone has put in this article, their fourth worst January signing was Jose Reyes.
Reyes was his January signing as well, remember?
Yeah, Reyes wasn't a bad signing. It was a great signing.
Yeah, Reyes was a good signing.
He did underachieve a little bit, but he was definitely not the worst signing. Jesus. Yeah, I know, Omar. We're going through these things, man. Stop having a go at me. Anyway, okay, so look.
Who's Omar, bro?
Omar Ali. Oh, Osman Ali. Sorry. My eyes are going a little bit. Anyway, so you predicted 2-2. I predicted 2-0. I actually predicted
a Desmond.
I predicted us not conceding against Liverpool. Don't know if that was really good thing to do. But we're due a game where we don't concede, though. Surely.
It's possible.
All right. So, look, the Liverpool game, we need to win that game. But in the meantime, there's a lot of other things we need to get sort of a grip on. Contract talks. Saka, apparently, is being offered a 5-year contract, £52 million it's worth. How do you feel about that one, Shaheen?
Yeah, look, when you got Eddie Nketiah 100,000, then that makes sense that you got Saka at 200,000. And if I was Saliba's
that's
agent,
what I was going to go on to. Saliba next.
Yeah, and if I was Saliba's agent, I was in negotiations with Arsenal over a new contract. I'll be looking for 200 plus.
Wow.
Because he, let's say for argument's sake, right? Comes summer, he's going to have a really good World Cup. He's going to have a really good season. Comes summer, and he's not signing a contract. So then Arsenal got a dilemma. You either sell him and get some money for him, right? Or you keep him for another year, hoping that he may sign, or you may lose him for free. Either way, if Saliba is worth £100 million today, in summer, especially, selling is not one of our greatest strengths at this club. You're not going to get 100 million from him. You'll probably get a lot less. So whoever club is, let's say Real Madrid comes in for him, they will be in a position to offer him 250,000, 300,000 pounds a week. And that will be the argument that his agent will have. and especially if he's having a really good season. The only thing that may work for us is that he's an Arsenal fan, and that may
Saliba?
that may push him into sign one contract with Arsenal, an extension, and then after the extension, because this guy is what 21, 20?
21.
So he's got, I would say 21. I would say he's got another 10 years. 10, 11 years ahead of him, yeah? So if you divide that, so roughly every 3 years, these guys, they start the negotiation for a new contract, etc., for the extension. So he's got realistically 3 more contracts.
Yeah.
That he would want to do well in. So this is something that these guys need to sort out.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything. Right, so look. Based on the fact that we are currently looking to pay Saka that amount of money, which you said it was 200k a week, yeah?
Yeah.
Saliba's current contract, we signed him at 5 years. It was worth almost 10.5 mil. His average salary of 2.
We signed Saliba for more than that. I think we signed him for 30 million, I think.
No, I'm looking at his actual contract. Hold on. Reject that.
Guys, can you help out? How much did we sign Saliba for?
No, I know how much we signed him for. We signed him for 28 million, didn't we?
Yeah, or something like that.
As it stands right now, right? We signed him, and he's currently on a 40k salary a week.
40.
Yeah.
Yes.
Transfer fee in all, apparently, according to this website, SpotRack. We signed him for 34. I thought it was 28, but apparently all in, maybe it's 34 million. It's 40 bags a week he's getting at the moment. He's going to now look at that. His agent's looking at that. He's getting all sorts of plaudits for his performances. Tom was on Monday. He's saying he thinks he's worth 100 mil already. In today's market, I'll agree. People also have to bear in mind that these contract negotiations aren't just to keep the player, they're to protect the asset. Being so young, I can see him staying for 2, 3 or 4 seasons, hopefully. The more successful we are, the more he's likely to stay. I did mention that there's no league better than the Premier League globally for excitement, for passion, for all of that. And the best 2 teams over the last few years have come from the Premier League. Man City winning the leagues, Liverpool's winning the Champions League. If you're challenging for the top 2 in the Premier League, the chances are that you will be challenging in the if you're challenging in the Premier League, chances are you should be challenging the Premier League. People here are a little bit reluctant to agree. They're saying, honest, I can't see him staying. I can see Arsenal getting a deal done. Someone rightfully said, if we don't get it done in January, but in the next few months, once January goes, we're going to be struggling. I think we need to get it done. And I think by laying down the marker with Saka, maybe they'll say, Saliba, you're next. You get 200. Look, imagine going from 40k to 200k a week. Surely that's got to interest you.
Yeah, but the issue here is there's a lot of people out there who would offer him that 200 grand a week, maybe more. I'll give you an example. Imagine in summer, right? Man City comes in for him, which is a real possibility because the way he plays, he's a ball-playing centre-back. Guardiola might want to take him in, right? Forget about the fee of how much Arsenal would want for him. We'll leave that for another day, right? How much salary do you think City will offer him? I would tell you probably, I think John Stone is on £200,000 a week.
Yeah.
Saliba might be looking at 250, 240, 250 a week, plus a hefty signing on fee. And, you'll be playing for Guardiola, Man City. You can challenge for the Champions League, Premier League. Your team, you got exciting players, Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne.
No, I hear you. But if Arsenal was serious as a club for challenging, the only type of defender that can handle the likes of a Haaland is a Saliba. if you're going to go head to head against these teams, you need to have the very, very best players. And if we're serious, and I'll tell you one thing I will say about Arteta. He won't want to dismantle this team. He will go and he will say, we need to keep this player. And it's right. The longer he delays, the more power he has. But then at the same time, that could just be a negotiation tactic in the sense of, well, you know what? You can see it. And as I said, people were saying, oh, we did the right thing sending him out on loan. I personally would have kept him ahead of Holding and used him instead of Holding when given the opportunity. And maybe whilst he was getting game time, offered him a new contract. But look, we need to keep Saliba. We need to keep him. It's as simple as that. He is the future. Yeah. He's the future of this club.
Yeah,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, we've been going for about 45 minutes. Should we interact with the guys in the chat for a bit?
Yes, please. Yeah, let's do that, man.
Yeah, if you guys want to ask a question, or if you want to say anything, you want to ask a question.
Any subjects you want to bring up?
Yeah, you want to speak to me and Lev.
That's a good point as well by Osman Ali. If we get Champions League, that'll make a massive difference for Saliba.
Yeah.
Any questions, guys? Come on, man. You lot are all bloody well quick to throw your opinions in when we don't ask you for questions. Everyone's got an opinion until you ask them for a question, yeah? Anyone got a question?
Go on. Don't be shy.
Oh, here we go.
There was one from Luke, I think. Yeah.
You can answer this one, Shaheen. I say yes, but anyway.
Was it a mistake to send him out on loan to Marseille considering Saliba has all the power now? I would say no, but I would have liked them to tie him down on a contract whilst he was at Marseille. Because you could tell he's having a really good spell. And, when he finished his spell, I remember he came out saying, oh, I don't want to go back to Arsenal. I don't mind a transfer to Marseille, this, that, the other. So it probably gives you an indication where his mind was at the time. But, I'd say no, send him out to Marseille. Looking back on it, probably a right decision. But at the time, I was one of the guys that said we should have kept him and given him game time here. But if we did that, you don't know how much game time he would have got. And where in Marseille he played full season plus Champions League, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to disagree and say it was a mistake. I would have kept him. I would have used him in the Premier League instead of Holding all day long instead of Holding. What, you think a year ago he was that much worse that he couldn't have played ahead of Holding? No chance. Holding is nowhere near the player Saliba is. And even with that extra year, okay, yes, he may have improved a little bit more, but even a year ago, he would have been better than Holding. And if he was getting game time, it might have been easier to negotiate. BX Gunner 81, question, would looking for another centre-back in January mean anything? Well, yeah, there is rumours of that. I can't remember the guy's name. There is rumours of a chap that we're looking at who's another left-footed. I think, is it left-footed? Yeah, ball-playing centre-back. I don't know. Does it just mean that they don't rate Holding enough? I mean, we were just talking, who would we play in this game against Bodo Glimt? And we were struggling. Is it going to be Holding White? Is it going to be Holding Tomiyasu? So maybe there's something in that, but I don't think it's to cover the loss of Saliba. I hope not. Don Saki, hi guys. Which is more of a priority, Saliba or Martinelli? Oh,
Saliba, I would say.
I'd say Saliba as well. You can find loads of wingers. Plus, I don't think Martinelli's going anywhere. I think Martinelli loves it at the club. So, no, I think Saliba. You want to go for this one, Shaheen?
Yeah, if we win most of our games before World Cup start, should we consider world title contenders? I think the world title contenders means that you are in a position to compete with City. And I don't think we are, considering they've got Erling Haaland. So we'll definitely be nailed on for the top four, I would say, more or less. But not sure about title contenders. Lev?
This is the thing that niggles me the most, and this is what gives me some doubts with regards to Saliba. Yeah, I think Saliba will be gone, says Hendon Guna. Do you guys think that Saliba has not forgiven Arteta for treating him disrespectfully? Now, I don't know if he's treated him disrespectfully, but I do sometimes get the inkling that he took offence to being sent out to Marseille, and then after he's proved himself as one of the best defenders in France, if not the best, and got into the French league's team of the year, and he was voted Young Player of the Year. Maybe, just maybe. But then at the same time, if he keeps playing and keeps bonding with this team and building up that rapport, there's less and less of that. You start to forget about things like that. Fitz, how you doing, bro? I ain't seen you for a while. Question: do you think our lack of quality squad depth will come back and bite Arteta in the Arteta? And do you really think we'll buy in January as the Chuckle Brothers never have before? Do you know, Fitz, thanks for that question. I mean, isn't it? Do we not feel? At what point, Fitz? I'll throw this back at you. At what point do we start giving these guys the credit they deserve? Because we're calling them the Chuckle Brothers, and some people are still saying Arteta this and that and the other. But look at what they've done. Like, we've been just as critical, you know, of Arteta and all that. But look what they've done. They've gutted the team from inside. The type of players that they brought in are far different caliber to what we've been seeing, and we're currently sitting top of the table. When are we going to give these guys some credit? When is a question. But, yeah, quality and depth is a concern for us. But one of the things that have caused that is we've had to gut it out and get rid of a lot of crap. So hopefully we'll address that in January. I think we will address one player in January. I think we'll look for a Partey cover in January. Yeah, man, all these questions coming in all of a sudden.
What's your take on today? Albert Sambi Lokonga exchange for Manuel Locatelli, straight £26 million deal with Juve.
I can't see that happening. I don't think Locatelli will come.
Well, he was linked to us heavily once. Yeah, and he said he wants to stay in Italy. I don't know how he's getting on in Juve, but the only thing I would say is that he's a really top upgrade on Sambi Lokonga.
I don't know. I think we're doing Sambi a discredit yet because I think he's got a great future ahead of him. I'll tell you what, though, what I will say, there'll be a few players that may have turned us down last season or in the last window that might be looking back and going, shit, maybe I should have considered those boys.
Like
Vlahovic for a start. I mean, I know that officially we didn't offer him, but apparently he wouldn't have come anyway. Then you had Lautaro Martinez, who's currently at Inter. Apparently we were looking at him. I'm not saying it's confirmed that we've offered these guys, but there'll be a few players that may not have considered us who are now thinking, hold on a minute, these guys could be top 2 in the Prem. You know, so that could help.
Come back to you with what you asked him.
When we win the league, as that's the standards, I hold the club by. Remember, they spent 400 million. Do they really think we've got value for money? Do you really think? I think in today's market, if you're going to compete,
Can I just add something to that, Dev?
Yeah, go on.
There's one thing I've always criticized them for, and when I gave my rating for the transfer window, I explained that in details. I don't want to go into that now, but you know, everybody's talking about the incomings and look, they bought this, they did this, that. But you need to look at, you know, outgoings as well, which has been really poor. The amount of contracts that we've just written off. Or I'll give you an example. Leno, we signed Leno for 20 million something pounds, and we sold him for £4 million with add-ons 8. You know, you've got to look at these things and say, well, how we've allowed these contracts to get to where they are, where the players are having. Because I thought after Alexis Sanchez and Ramsey, they put things in place for those scenarios not to happen again. And we had Ozil, Aubameyang, Bellerin, Socrates, Mustafi. Who else?
When are we going to move on from this, though? Because let's be
hold on. You know, all of these players, their contracts have just been written off. You know, and no money has come back in for them. So that's the only thing I will add to what Fitz was saying before you address this point.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. And we've had this conversation numerous times. But then again, at the same time, this current regime we can't keep whipping this current regime for what went on before, because it seems
Well,
like
they're
they're
dealing with it.
trying. Yeah, listen, this current when I'm sort of talking about all of these players that we had to write off their contracts, all these contracts we agreed prior, and maybe you could argue the Aubameyang one was a bad one, but at the same time, and going back to Fitz's point about spending 400 million, we can't complain that we've spent 400 million. It may have taken that to bring this team to where it is now. We had a lot of dross that wasn't up to scratch, but then we see the teams like Man City and Chelsea and all these guys throwing money to change their teams into title contenders and Champions League contenders. We can't be arguing if we're doing the same. Yes, we've spent that money. Good, we've spent that money. We needed to. We spent it poorly before. At least this time around, we could look at what we spent the money on and go, hold on a minute. All right, we didn't spend the money on Saka, but Saka is a commodity now. Saliba, if we can tie him up, is a commodity now. Martinelli is a commodity now. You know, Jesus at the moment, yeah, we've only just bought him, but if he carries on the way he's going, he's a commodity now. These are not players that we've bought and then they've turned into crap and we've gone, right, we'll have to write it off. These are players that if we keep them on contracts, the right type of contracts, will be attracting interest from all over. Saliba, if we can tie him down, could suddenly go from someone we bought for 34 million to somebody that you can get 150 million for. That's a commodity. So, yes, I hear that, but we as fans at some point got to say, well, we can't complain that we're not challenging for the titles, and now that we spent 400 million and we are actually doing something, complain that we sent it. Yes, letting Aubameyang was the last one, was terrible. Letting him go for nothing was terrible. I agree with that, especially when someone like Barcelona takes him and then a year later gets 30 mil for him. Agreed. I'm not saying we've been perfect, but at the same time, the 400 million we've spent this time, when you look at our team, is definitely better than where we've been. You cannot argue that this is a better team, no?
Yeah, but
look at the type of players we bought. Tomiyasu.
Yeah, but I'm talking about selling. You know, again, you're talking about the people they bought. I know they've come to terms with them. Admittedly, they've taken over in a squad that was there, right? What I don't accept is that they could not get a fee for any of these guys. Always, it seemed
they were poor
easier.
deals, though. They were poor contracts.
Yeah, well, listen. No fees, yeah. With all of them, it always seemed the easiest and the best way out was to be like, oh, you know what? Let's write off your contract. You move on. We move on. And the easiest way was chosen, I feel, because I don't believe if you had, I don't want to say a half decent recruitment team because they have made some decent signings, but I don't believe that we could not achieve anything for any of them.
I agree, but these contracts that someone like the likes of Arteta and all that have come in at a time where these contracts, a lot of them were pre-agreed. When you look at it and you try to get rid of like a Mustafi or a Kolasinac, or the reason we couldn't shift these players is because they weren't good enough and they were on too much money. So that's why we've had to write them off, and that's something you're going to have to look at. You don't agree. You don't agree. So which players were good that we should have, apart from Aubameyang, which I agree with 100%, right? Which was awful, letting him go. But we're at fault for giving him 350 bags a week, right? No one was willing to pay that. But give me some examples on other players that you think we should have made money on that we didn't.
Bellerin, Socrates.
Shite.
Maybe for here, but other leagues, other places, why not? Who else? Lacazette.
Okay.
Maybe Ozil. Who else? Guendouzi.
Okay, yeah.
Maitland-Niles.
No, didn't we get money for Guendouzi, or has he gone on a free? No, he was on an option to buy. We sold him for 11, didn't we, or something?
Yeah, well, I think £10 million, where 2 seasons ago, he was worth 50 million. I remember Maitland-Niles, Wolves came in for him £22 million. We rejected the deal. But next season, my man was on the bench and he was not getting a game. So then you have to look at that and be thinking, well, what was the thought process in there? Not selling him and keeping him. And now, how much is he worth now? Again, nothing. Another player that is going to walk away for free, and I tell you now, is Nicolas Pepe. £70 fucking million.
All right.
Walk away for free.
No, hold on. Nicolas Pepe is on a loan deal, and
Yeah,
with an option to buy, but he's already been dropped. Have you heard about that? He's not playing.
No.
He's been dropped.
I don't know. I'm not looking at what he's doing. That's another interesting one by Shiv. Callum Chambers left for nothing.
Look, why is it though? I'll ask this question: why is it that no matter how well we're doing, we have this tendency to look back at all the bad things we've done? Even now,
we're looking at good things and bad things. I just said before I go through this list that they've made some good signings as well. But dealing with the transfer business, it's not just about signing players. That's half of it. And the other half is selling players and tying down contracts. Right? So people look at that half that they've made a couple of signings, and they'll be like, oh look, they've done really well here. And yes, they have, but they completely forgetting about the outgoings and the contracts. And look, you add up all the players that we've written off, the value for them. Realistically, not how much we bought them. Realistically, if you add all of them, it will come to around, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 million pounds or something like that, right? You add that on top of what has been spent, which is about 400 or you're looking at 400. You're looking at £500 million almost, right? That has been spent in this club. It's either been written off, or if you want to add up the full value that has been written off with the salary that they've been paid, this will go to about maybe £600-700 million. And you've got to look at that and you think, well, they haven't done well there. And as much as people want to, and rightly so, call out the good things that they've done, the right signings, this, that, the other, you also need to look at the outgoings. You can't just pick and choose what you want to talk about. And if everybody else talks about something that you don't agree with, they're negative, they don't know what they're talking about and all the rest. These are all facts that you've got to look at. Why is it that Real Betis they were desperate for Bellerin, but we couldn't get a fee, and then we ended up giving him
because we're expecting. Barcelona. Listen, not everyone can afford the sort of money.
Barcelona could.
Yeah,
they bought. This is one example. Yeah, how can you justify it, right? That they got Aubameyang from us for free, used him for 6 months, and then sold him to Chelsea.
I get all of that, but listen, let me ask you this question: since when did fans become so flipping? What are we all accountants? I get it. I agree with you. There's a lot of shit that's gone wrong. We've gone through it all over the last few seasons. Yeah. The poor transfer dealings, the poor contracts, the poor negotiating, getting them out the door, writing off contracts. But at the same time, a lot of this stuff did not happen with this current regime. When you look at the players we've bought in now, you say, oh, we bought a few players, but that team is unrecognisable to the team that Arteta initially took over a few seasons back, which was full of dross. You can't just buy a new house that's got a load of clutter in there and then go, right, I bought a new house now, and ignore the clutter. You've got to get rid of it. And we've done it. And yes, okay, we've wasted a lot of money. I agree with you. But that's the owner's problem, not the fans' problem. The fact is there's a lot of teams that are spending a hell of a lot more money than we are. And
like who?
What do you mean, like who?
We've been the biggest spenders last 2 seasons in the transfer window.
Okay, why? Because we'd fallen that far behind. We'd fallen that far behind. Yeah, let's be honest. We were languishing in 7th and 8th. You don't go and challenge the likes of Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea by not spending. They've been the bigger spenders all these seasons. If you're going to spend, you got what we were complaining about is not the spending, is where we were spending it. If you look at it now, we have been spending in the right areas and we've been betting the better players in, and that's not starting to show. But not only is it the spending, it's the influence of Arteta in the way that he's changed the ethos of the club and the way we play and the process and everything that comes with it. So look, I don't want to jump the gun too quick. It is still early. It's only 8-9 games in for the season. But let me ask you this question. If we finish top 2 at the end of this season, are you going to sit back and still complain about all that money we've chucked away?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Listen.
If we're back in the Champions League, you're not going to complain about this money anymore, are you?
No, listen. I've said this a long time ago, yeah? I said Arsenal are not in a position to complain about money at all. and finances because of how poorly we've managed our transfer dealings, outgoings, and finances. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we're here to achieve things. We're not a financial institute. We're a sports club. So we're here to achieve things and win things and obviously compete, right? So that's a different thing, right? When you're talking about this was my point, when you're talking about the transfer business has two parts. One part is incomings, which they've done well. Some players, majority of players, right? Credit due, no discussion there. But people need to agree and they need to look at the outgoings and the amount of contracts that has been written off. I just sometimes feel people don't really discuss that. They think, look, this has been signed, fantastic. Edu is amazing. Edu is this, Edu is that. Yeah, he's done well in certain aspects, but certain aspects has not been great, and you need to say that. It doesn't mean that you're moaning, you're complaining. You're just pointing out what's obvious, and you already agreed with me with this one. And I know privately when we've spoken, you've said, outgoing selling players, we're not really great.
No, we haven't been great.
And you know what, Lev? What concerns me is that clubs have now picked up on it. And they think if we go after one of these Arsenal players, if we stand our grounds a bit and we G up the player a little bit, it might get to a stage that they will be like, you know what, we're right off your contract, off you go, son.
Wait, no. This is where I think the problem has been, right? And we've got to look a little bit deeper. You can't just turn around and go, oh, we're terrible at transfers and writing players off. I think the problem was this. The type of players that we were buying, weren't good enough. They were overpriced in the transfer window, and they got too much money in their contracts. Agreed?
Yeah, which has got nothing to do with these boys.
Right, which has got nothing to do with these boys. So then when you try to get rid of players that aren't up to the levels that their salaries are at, that's when you struggle to get rid of them. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean it's because
I agree with you.
Rid of them. Now,
I agree with you.
Let me finish. With this current batch we have, when you look at this squad now and you look at these players now and you compare it to the days of your Socrates and your Mustafis and your Kolasinac's and all these the shoddy players we were buying, you could now sit down and reel off players that everybody will want. Everybody will want to buy Martinelli off us. Everybody will want to buy Saka off us. There'll be suitors for Jesus tomorrow if he wants to go. You will not have a problem selling him. If you want to sell Thomas Partey tomorrow, you could sell him. If you wanted to sell even Lokonga, who's got a big reputation as a young star in the making, we could sell. Saliba, everyone will be in for Saliba. Everyone will be in for a Tomiyasu, a Tierney, the Whites. And this is where it won't become difficult to get rid of players in future if you want to, because the caliber of players that we've now signed up are worth the money that they're getting.
Okay, I agree with what you said. If you agree with me that the solution, what you said, I get what you said in terms of some of these players that were shit, like Mustafi, poor defender on high salary, But you also have to agree with me that not all of them was like this. There were players that we could have got fee and good fee for that we didn't. We just written off their contract.
Potentially, yes. I mean,
no, not potentially, Lev. Not potentially. Look. 10 million pounds for Guendouzi is a piss take. Allowing Lacazette to leave for free is a piss take. Aubameyang is a piss take. Lucas Torreira, how much we bought him, how much we sold him. That's the problem. Now you reject 22 million pounds. That Edu and Arteta was here. I think Edu was here for that. 22 million. Arteta was not, but Edu was. 22 million pounds. Yeah. No, we're going to keep him. And then what? He doesn't get games, and then he's got rid of as well. So, whilst I agree with what you say, you also got to concede that there has been shortcoming on their side.
There has been, but again, most of it was not under Arteta's stewardship, right? I think a lot of it went on before. Now, what I'm saying is this: I'm not saying the people going out was before. I'm saying the agreements and the contracts were already done before Arteta got there, right? What I'm saying to you now is, I think Arteta is a shrewd guy. I think he's on top of everything. As we saw in All or Nothing, he gets involved in everything. I think if you go by what's happening with the teams and the caliber of players we're going on, this will be forgotten in a couple of seasons. We keep getting the right caliber players, we will not have these issues in the future. That's where I stand with it. But I agree with you. We've been shoddy at getting rid of players, and Pepe is a prime example as we speak. Someone rightfully said we don't have an option. We didn't put an option to buy in this. Clearly, they're still holding on for dear life in the hope that Pepe has a form changing season like maybe Saliba in France. But looking at the way it is, I don't think he will, and we'll probably have to write it off. But as a fan, being totally selfish, like fans are, I don't see City fans. Oh, we're spending all this money, or Chelsea. They don't care. It's about winning, and we got to get back to that mentality as fans, as we want to be challenging and winning. That is it. And right now, I could see that happening. It's still early days, but if we finish top 2 this season, I'll be happy. And all is forgiven. Once we get Champions League money in and Champions League pull in, it becomes a different kettle of fish.
Well,
Players-wise as well, that we look for in the next window, in the summer.
We agree to disagree on this one.
Okay. Well, look, I'm sticking to... I'll tell you what it is, bro. I'm going to be honest. We'll wrap it up. We'll be doing an hour and 10 minutes. But I have had enough of the negativity for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years as an Arsenal fan. And now that I can see some light at the end of the tunnel, I want to enjoy it. We're playing the best football in the league right now outside of City.
There's nothing stopping you from enjoying that level, but
I don't want to get...
when there was negativity, there was reasons for it. You know, we were not being negative because, you know what, let's be negative today. There were reasons. There were reasons that were justifying the negativity. This season, there hasn't been any negativity. So, nobody has moaned. I haven't. You haven't.
Do you not think then this is a sign that we've got Saka done? We're going to get Martinelli done. All your favourite sites back, by the way. Well, hey. Yeah. Are you sure you're not signed up to this shit? I'm joking, Vlad. I'm joking. Right. If Saka signs, which he's going to,
yeah,
we'll look at Martinelli getting him nailed down. You know what? There's a lot of people that are expecting Saliba to go. I think there's a lot of people outside the Arsenal fan base that are hoping Saliba goes. So we need to get him signed up. I'm confident we're going to keep him. So that's where we're at with it. If we're going to talk about transfers, the most important thing now for Arsenal fans to forget about the past is to nail down the current batch of quality that we have. We need to nail it down.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else got anything they want to cover before we go? It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I want to return back to work and try and make some dough. No one? Anyone? No. Right. So look, we've got the game tomorrow and then Sunday. And then Monday, we've got the show here again. So you guys in the chats, if you haven't already liked, please hit a like. If you're watching after work or whatever, you're catching up, please hit a like. Put your notifications on. Don't miss the show next time. Please put some comments into what you've heard today, whether it be your lineup for tomorrow, whether it be your predictions or the Liverpool game, line up for the Liverpool game, what your expectations are, and also what you think of Shaheen's new catchphrase, relax your batty. And that is it for the Arsenal Lounge. Bro, anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's it. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
One last question before you go, because it's really important to Robots Will Eat You. What will make you happy, Shaheen? Just tell him.
What will make me happy? The robots will eat you. Doesn't watch us and don't write shitty comments. That will make me happy.
Are you asking one of our viewers to stop watching?
Yeah, well, somebody always writes shitty comment.
Robots will eat you. If you're getting this sort of reaction out of
Shaheen, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
If you're getting this reaction out of Shaheen, Robots Will Eat You. You are welcome every week. You know, it makes me laugh to see Shaheen a little bit niggled every now and then. So there you go. Right, so let's hope we win tomorrow against Bodo Glimt, and then long may this run continue against Liverpool on Sunday. I expect us to win. I expect us to still be top of the table by the end of the weekend. Meet us here on Monday to discuss it. Hopefully it remains positive. And Robots Elite You will say, I love Shaheen every week. There you go. So peace out of here. See you later. Going in.